What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another edition of Horror Hosts and Their Movies. And tonight, I'm going to review this Elvira movie Macabre double feature, 2 horror-packed DVDs, Blue Sunshine and Monstroid. This is part of the Elvira series that was put out by Shout. There's the one side of this lovely postcard, Elvira in all her glory. And there are some of the other selections that you can get, so I certainly might pick up a few more of these. The Devil's Wedding Night, haven't seen that one. Man-Eater of Hydra. Okay, anyway, yeah, some good ones on there. And let's just show you the inside, kind of pull apart a little bit. Whoops. We've got thrills, chills, horror. Has one of these hinges that just fell apart. And let's take a look at the pictures inside. Lovely as always. So let me just read the synopsis. I mean, I think everyone's pretty much acquainted with Elvira. The word Halloween is synonymous with 3 things: sheets with holes cut into them, candy corn that tastes like neither candy nor corn, and of course Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. In 1981, the B-movie queen, played to perfection by Cassandra Peterson, began her campaign to bring only the very best and worst of schlock cinema to audiences. The result was Elvira's movie Macabre, a television series that featured a different film infused with Elvira's own twist of humor and innuendo each week. The series lasted 5 years and made Elvira the first nationally syndicated horror show hostess to ever hit the airwaves, not to mention the sexiest Halloween icon since Frankenstein's Bride. And I would agree with all that. Of course, you know, it's amazing that that initial run of the show only went for 5 years. I believe she had a program in Australia for a time. And of course, you know, I mean, she's just sort of eternal. I don't know what else to say. Just, you know, Elvira. I mean, yes, but what makes her different was, I mean, her unique look and the innuendo. And, you know, watching this episode was just like going through a time machine. I mean, some of the things that struck me, her set is kind of minimal. It's essentially a red velvet sofa with a candelabra, and that's pretty much it. And a few props now and then. You know, there's a phone, an old rotary phone that she often gets calls on, so you hear one side of a conversation, and it's always kind of humorous. And even though I would describe the program as mostly PG, I'm talking about the Elvira segments, or maybe PG-13, you know, she does throw in, like I said, a lot of innuendo. And there's certain things they just wouldn't do today, even though they're not really that outrageous. There was one little skit where the phone rang, and it was a guy in a phone booth. Well, that kind of dates the special in and of itself. But he's wearing a trench coat, and I guess he's trying to make some dirty talk with Elvira, and he is like glistening with sweat. I mean, it's just I mean, it's just, he's just glistening with sweat, and it's actually pretty funny. But there's no way they would do that today. They just wouldn't do it. So, you know, she comes in, she talks a little bit about the movie. She makes some innuendo, some jokes. She does a thing where she'll ask a question, and then they'll have an out-of-context clip from one of the movies where a character will answer her. Just, you know, somebody will say what floor in the movie, and someone will say 7, and then she'll ask a question, and the answer is 7. And she'll just go, oh, okay. And it's so simple, but it's funny. I mean, it's just, you know, it's Elvira. She's funny. Now, let's talk about the movies. We've got one pretty good, one cult film, which I really kind of enjoyed. I'm really glad I discovered. And then we have another one, which is a giant turd. So for Monstroid, what I would do is grab a big tube of Preparation H, because Monstroid actually reminded me of something else that ends with oid. Yeah, this one is a mess. What you see on the cover, there's nothing like that in the movie. There's a few shots of a monster, part animal, part shark. I don't remember that at all devil. It hunts humans on land and sea. Let me just read the description. Oh my gosh. When a small Colombian village is viciously attacked by a creature from a nearby lake, a corrupt chemical company sends a specialist, Jim Mitchum, to destroy the beast and cover up their involvement with its creation. Inspired by a true story. Okay, sure. This also stars John Carradine. A little passage on IMDb. I mean, you don't really know if you can't tell 100% with 100% certainty whether it's true or not, but, you know, it goes on to say that he thought this movie was terrible, and Carradine was in some bad movies. Yeah, there's just a lot of talking. You know, the oil company's just trying to scheme and, you know, calm everybody down about this monster, and then it finally makes an appearance, and it's just terrible looking. I think there was some other segments added in with like the director's kids down by the lake, and it was supposed to be like a tense thing. Are they going to get eaten? But I don't know. It was bad. It was just bad, but made bearable by the lovely Elvira. Now, Blue Sunshine, on the other hand, that was pretty good. It's from the 70s, directed by Jeff Lieberman. This was the film that he did after Squirm, which was featured on another program that was hosted by a couple robots. And oh crap. Oh, that was a close one. And a hapless human. And that's a fun movie. And then, of course, a few years later, Lieberman would direct Just Before Dawn, and eventually he would direct Satan's Little Helper, which I hear is very good. I keep meaning to watch that. Probably a little bit too late for this Halloween, but I'll see if I can pick up a copy of that. So it's a pretty decent movie. Let me read the description of this one. 10 years after experimenting with a batch of LSD known as Blue Sunshine, Franny, played by Richard Crystal, begins to experience unusual side effects, including excruciating headaches, hair loss, and a homicidal rampage. In a homicidal rampage that results in his own death, now his good friend Jerry, Zalman King, must find the dealer responsible for Blue Sunshine before he's wrongly convicted of the murders. Zalman King, boy, that name sounds familiar. I think he may have been on some late-night cable shows back in the 80s or early 90s. I don't know. I think somebody told me about that. I probably didn't watch any of those myself. But anyway, he does a pretty good job. I don't know. I guess maybe. He was pretty good. He was good enough. But the scenes where his friend goes crazy and homicidal, it goes on a while. And it is kind of scary because they just don't know what to make of it. He runs into a truck with a couple hunters in it and sort of attacks them. And, you know, the thing is, yeah, the hair falls out. Then they find out that he was wearing a wig, you know, and he had been going bald, going back months. And over the course of the investigation that Jerry does, he starts to find other people who possibly are wearing wigs and trying to hide the fact that they're having some mental issues due to this bad batch of LSD, which, by the way, was, like I said, 10 years ago. So Jerry is trying to find out the link between other such similar cases that he's read about. And there's one really good scene where he goes up to just have a conversation with somebody, and they just freaking go nuts, just right out of the blue. And there's also a local politician who's running for office who may be connected to this whole group of people. He's sort of trying to deny that because, of course, he's running for office, so he doesn't want any bad press. And he's got a bodyguard who used to play football on the old college team, and this guy's quite large and a little bit menacing, and hopefully he's not going to be infected with this Blue Sunshine, because he would be a handful if he was. Hint, hint. And there's a climax in the mall, which could have probably been a little more action-packed, but it was pretty good. Reminds you a little bit of a Cronenberg movie in parts. Yeah, I mean, I actually really liked it. I mean, I definitely think it is like kind of a cult film. I mean, I definitely watched this one again, you know, by itself, or probably, since I have it, as part of the this 2-pack here. Monstroid, I will probably never look at again. So there you go, guys. What are your thoughts about the legendary Elvira? And have you seen either one of these? Let me know in the comments below, and come back again for some more reviews of movies that have been hosted by horror hosts. Thanks. Later.